to. You get privilege. You don't have to work as hard. You can slack off in jobs and still get promoted and still not have to worry about somebody coming after you. So whiteness to me is about privilege and access to information systems and people and power that you didn't earn.
I went through a time where I was poor and I had to take care of my father, and I worked with about 100 African-American men, and I was the only white male on the shop floor. And I was really horrible at this job. It was a metal grinder. I'd grind too much of it. I'd make big indentations. I was constantly messing up, and I was sure I was going to get fired. It was just a matter of time. And about 6 months into the job, the boss and a few of the managers come over. They're all white men. And I thought, this is it. This is the day I'm getting fired. And they came over and told me that they've had their eye on me and they think that I'm management material. I said, what? Yeah. And they said, yeah, you stick around for a while and we think you've got potential to be a manager here.
It's all embedded in every...
Wagwan family, welcome back to my YouTube commentary. Thank you so much for joining, okay? Now, what I'm going to talk today is not about making white people saviors. No. What I'm going to talk about today is just exposing the cracks in a system that has long relied on the silence and unity built on lies, okay? It's about understanding why this shift is happening right now, because Wagwan family, welcome back to my YouTube. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you. Now, today something new is happening. And not so much new, it has been happening. We have seen professors, we have seen historians, white professors, white historians, white preachers are now joining hands with black people. White people are breaking codes with their own, joining hands with black people, exposing truths, distancing themselves from lies, and calling out racism. Okay? Now, what I'm going to talk about is not placing white people as saviors, no, but it's just exposing the cracks in a system that has long relied on the silence and unity of lies. Okay? What I'm going to talk about is about understanding why this shift is happening now, how it impacts us, and how or what it means for the future of Africa and the diaspora. Okay? So family, let's work together on this. But first of all, let's watch these clips. I'm going to share you clips of white people, different types of clips talking about different things, but they are all exposing the lies of the white supremacy. They are all calling out racism, and these are white people, okay? After doing that, after watching the clips, I want us to come here and I want you to listen what I have to say. Thank you.
This is the psyche of white America. Not all, but for the majority. Most of white America have always been scared of black and brown folks getting justice, getting equality, getting what's fair, because they want to hold and cling on to white supremacy so dearly, that system that protects their privilege, that dominant hierarchy position of whiteness. That being said, I'm going to say something and I want you to let it set. I just want you to sit with it. Let it settle into your consciousness. Just let it sit with you for a while before you get into your feelings, into your denial, into your ignorance, into your delusion racially. Just let it set and listen. Until we fix white supremacy, everything we do as a nation will fail. Why does America keep voting against its own self-interest? Why do we continue to do things that undermine our very well-being? White supremacy is the living, festering cancer, devouring our nation from the inside out. It's the toxic force behind every backward policy. The exact reason we're so stunned and shamefully far behind other developed nations. White supremacy, the very thing white America claims to despise, yet simultaneously denies, gaslights about, actively avoids, and utterly ignores, all while perpetrating racism. The reason this country keeps voting against its own damn self-interest, the reason we consistently shoot ourselves in the foot, is brutally simple. Pure terrified fear of a black and brown nation. Fact. This isn't new. This isn't just about today. This is history's cruelest loop. We love white supremacy. We embrace slavery. We clung to Jim Crow. We have always chosen to poison our own wells rather than allow an ounce of equality. This obsession breeds internal hate, forces us into a blind. You know, a white person said something to me the other day that shocked me. Not really, but it kind of did, coming from this individual, because they were actually being honest. Usually all they do is gaslight and bullshit, but they actually had a breakdown and had an honest moment. When we were talking about race in America, she said, "I don't think black people deserve equality and justice because they could never get enough." And I realized, for the first time I've ever talked to this person about race, she was actually being brutally honest. And I also realized this is the psyche of white America. Not all, but for the majority. Most of white America have always been scared of black and brown folks getting justice, getting equality, getting what's fair, because they want to hold and cling on to white supremacy so dearly, that system that protects their privilege, that dominant hierarchy position of whiteness. That being said, I'm going to say something and I want you to let it set. I just want you to sit with it. Let it settle into your consciousness. Just let it set with you for a while before you get into your feelings, into your denial, into your ignorance, into your delusion racially. Just let it set and listen. Until we fix white supremacy, everything we do as a nation will fail. Why does America keep voting against its own self-interest? Why do we continue to do things that undermine our very well-being? White supremacy is the living, festering cancer, devouring our nation from the inside out. It's the toxic force behind every backward policy. The exact reason we're so stunned and shamefully far behind other developed nations. White supremacy, the very thing white America claims to despise, yet simultaneously denies, gaslights about, actively avoids, and utterly ignores, all while perpetrating racism. The reason this country keeps voting against its own damn self-interest, the reason we consistently shoot ourselves in the foot, is brutally simple. Pure terrified fear of a black and brown nation. Fact. This isn't new. This isn't just about today. This is history's cruelest loop. We love white supremacy. We embrace slavery. We clung to Jim Crow. We have always chosen to poison our own wells, rather than allow an ounce of equality. This obsession breeds internal hate, forces us into a blind, ignorant delusion. It has weaponized us against each other. White against white, race against race, culture against culture. This is the profound damage to your psyche, your society. We'd rather bleed our own nation dry, sacrifice our cities, our health, our economy, our global credibility, than loosen one pathetic finger from white privilege. You thought you could weaponize white supremacy to justify your own greed, to hoard power. All you've done is destroy yourselves and your own fucking nation. Imagine a nation so diseased by racism, so desperate to cling to its twisted sense of white superiority. It would rather self-destruct, rip apart its own democracy, and watch its citizens suffer and die. That nation is America. Face the ugly fucking truth. Look at what we've done. Cutting Medicaid, slashing SNAP, sacrificing the vulnerable for billionaire tax breaks, abandoning humanitarian aid, annihilating our global standing, our very morality, actively suppressing votes, tearing down our democracy, building the world's largest prison system, shattering families, all because of the white man's greatest, most pathetic fear, that black and brown people might actually be treated fairly. Our air is poisoned, our infrastructure is collapsing, our schools are failing, all because we'd rather cling to archaic, racist structures that build a decent, functional society for ourselves. Understand this. We aren't just hurting black and brown communities. No. We are actively killing ourselves as a nation. Our racism has so crippled us, we'd choose a pedophile felon to run the country simply because he was a racist strongman. We are willingly plunging into fascism, sacrificing our fundamental liberties and economic equality, all because we choose white supremacy over freedom. Every damn bit of it for the sake of the ignorant, hateful disease festering in our hearts. So white America, hear this. Stop being cowards. Look into the fucking mirror. This cancer of white supremacy is consuming us. If you don't tear it down, if you don't confront this fear, you will watch this nation die. Your nation, our nation. The time for denial is over. The time to choose is now. I'll say it again. Until we fix white supremacy, everything we do as a nation will fail. Fact. Oh, it's the black man's fault that he's in the position. Well, what about black on black crime? I mean, it goes on and on and on. You know, I mean, I could sit here all day and give you examples. All lives matter. I mean, it just goes on all day. Black people ask for justice. White people find a way to try to obscure it, to try to take it away from it, to try to demean it. We are colonizers. And I say that based on our behavior, collectively as white people. And until we stop being gaslighters and colonizers, white people are on a path of self-destruction. White supremacy, the lies of white supremacy, the colonizing mentality has never brought the white man happiness, and it never will. It's toxic, dysfunctional, and self-defeating. And it's not helping us. And now there's all this white rage because when the abuser loses control, he gets angry. And then Trump was born because we had a black president. And he was perfect because he was racist. And that's what white America wanted because they're angry, because they felt like they were losing control. Because colonizers have to have control. And we had a black president. And everybody just shit all over themselves. White people just freak the fuck out. Oh my God, we're losing control. We have a black president. He's going to oppress us and enslave us. God knows we're going to be whipped and lynched. This is literally, I think, some of the thoughts, the subconscious. I'm exaggerating, but in a way it's true. The greatest fear of the colonizer is all that evil, vile shit that we did will be done up unto them, us. And that's why there's so much white rage. The numbers are changing. Pretty soon, white people will not be the majority. The abuser loses control. So what do? We continue gaslighting. We continue with white rage. White domestic terrorism on the rise. The greatest threat in America. White people are enraged because they can no longer control their victims, black and brown people, the way that they want to. They're losing some of their power, some of their positions, some of their privilege. They feel threatened. So here we are, in a state of crazy, utter chaos. That's why I say the lie of white supremacy is our destruction. When white folks say black people didn't earn it, we know that's just projection. 95% of Trump's cabinet is completely incompetent, unqualified white people. In America, the good old boy network is often more the reality than merit-based hiring. This is a perfect example of why DEI exists in the first place. Because in America, obviously, inequality, discrimination, and white racism is off the fucking charts. And it always has been. These are facts, folks. So when they say merit-based hiring, fuck you. A perfect example. Obama, as a black man, had to be literally perfect in every possible fucking way imaginable to get elected. He was a highly educated lawyer, a genuine family man, literally zero scandals, experienced in government, who was a true unifier that possessed integrity, moral character, ethics, eloquence, intelligence, and carried himself with dignity, respect, and he honored the office. With Trump, there's too many amoral, inhumane things to list, so I just touch on a few. Trump, as a white man, was elected despite being the most divisive, corrupt, immature, lying, manipulative, deceitful, treasonous, fascist, and criminal person to ever run for the presidency. Not to mention, who is a proven sexual predator and an openly racist person. My point is this. Black folks in America need more than just merits and qualifications to get into positions in many white-run establishments. Not only do they have to be perfect, they need establishments and institutions that do not discriminate, which is why in a white supremacist nation, DEI is critical to help with equality and justice. But now the term DEI and DEI higher is being recoined as the new N-word for many far-right racists like our current administration. Important initiatives like CRT and words like woke have been distorted and demonized by far-right extremists in order to destroy racial progress and justice. These are the modern narratives of our diseased white supremacist nation. So when that racist motherfucker Trump says black and brown folks didn't earn it, he's just fucking projecting. Because he is likely the most unqualified, degenerate leader of a country in human history. Remember this. If you remember anything, remember this. There's only one reason why diversity, equity, and inclusion is being aggressively dismantled, why black history is literally being erased, and why brown and black immigrants are being rounded up. Because our government is currently leading the largest white supremacist movement since Jim Crow laws started in 1865. Never let their hate and inhumanity become normalized. We must fight these racist far-right extremists at every single turn. Good luck. Most white people are racist. The thing that white people hate to hear, and the thing that white people refuse to acknowledge and fix. When I say most white people are racist, what I mean is the majority of white people are racist. And I know this to be true. And if you're an honest person, you know it to be true. Yes, white people are racist. And it's very simple as to why. Some white people are the perpetrators of racism. Some white people enjoy discriminating against black people and brown people. They enjoy seeing inequality being distributed. They enjoy their white privilege, and they work to protect it. They enjoy using the N-word. They are Trump supporters. They support politicians and lawmakers that promote racism. These are the perpetrators. These are the covert and overt racists, people that actually spew racism in all kinds of different ways, whether discrimination through words, through behavior, so many different ways. And then you have all the other white Americans that support it. And they support it how? By ignoring it. A massive millions and millions and millions of white people right now in America are actively ignoring white supremacy. And it's an art. It's a culture. It's what we do. We're masters as a white people at pretending white supremacy is not real, at pretending inequality is not real, at pretending all the statistics, all the racial data, all the racial disparities in every single American institution is not real. We are masters at ignoring it. And then the other thing that we do to support white supremacy is we deny it. Yes, the majority of white people deny white privilege, deny white supremacy, deny racial injustice. They thrive on denying it. It's part of their livelihood. So when I say white people are racist, it's because if we're not perpetrating it, we're supporting it. And until that changes, most white people are racist.
It might be because I'm neurodivergent, but it takes a while for me to notice certain taboos. I recently, within the past couple weeks, found another taboo topic. Specifically, white people don't really like to talk about systemic racism or really anything to do with race, period. Because the past couple weeks, I had been listening to this video series on YouTube. It's called Crash Course Black American History. And I really like it, and I've been really into it the past couple weeks, to the point where I'm like, have you listened to this? Well, you should listen to it. So I was at work, and it was only other white people there. That was the thing. We were talking about things that we were listening to, and I told them what I was listening to. Crash Course Black American History. Everybody should listen to it. That's the gist of what I said. I just basically said that it was really educational, and people could learn a lot from it, and Americans should listen to it. Immediately, the room got really silent and tense, and I was like, oh, I guess this is a topic we don't talk about. I kind of wonder if it's like maybe white people kind of want to hide the truth or like not talk about it because it'll make them feel too guilty. But from my like neurodivergent perspective, I think that these emotions aren't necessarily a bad thing, and they should come up when we learn about this stuff. And the whole point is to like educate ourselves and then process whatever emotions come up however they need to in our own little, bubble. And then when we're ready to, we all get back together, every single one of us, and we collaborate, and we're like, hey, we never want that to happen again. So how do all of us, take steps forward together and create something better for all of us? I feel like that's kind of like a no-duh way of thinking. And so then I bring up, and I feel like I bring it up in a socially appropriate way, where it's just like, yeah, I've been listening to this. But still, like every single time I bring the topic up around white people, they get uncomfortable. It almost like frustrates me because I'm like, why is this such a taboo topic? Because even when I bring up topics like feminism or disability rights or something along those lines, it's even a little bit more accepted. I'll still be able to have normal conversation, but the moment that I bring up systemic racism, issues that we have with race, or like the history of Black Americans, all of a sudden the room gets weirdly tense, and it's weird. I think we should start having uncomfortable conversations. This is important for like everybody. And I also understand in the example that I brought up, it was at work, but still, like, I've just noticed that as a pattern in general. Like, anytime I bring it up, most white people get really uncomfortable. I just think we're ready to move past that.
Welcome back. Whiteness was built as a wall, okay? And a wall that said that we are together, we protect our privilege, we protect our lives, we protect our system. White unity was not a real unity. It was enforced through fear, privilege, and the belief in racial superiority. Okay? For a number of years, most white people stood with that wall. They knew slavery was evil, but they benefited from it. Okay? They knew colonization was theft, but they stayed silent. They knew racism was wrong, but they laughed at the jokes, voted for the politicians who have racist agendas, and enjoyed the fruits of injustice. I always say it's so hard to be a white man. It's so hard to be white. Why? Because sometimes maybe your heart is good, your heart is pure, your heart knows this is bad, but because you are enjoying the privilege of whiteness, you cannot say something. You keep quiet. It is disturbing you, but you keep quiet, because once you speak out, they will tell you, now bring what belongs to us. Okay? Now, in 2025, I see the wall is cracking. Okay? The wall is cracking because lies can't hold forever. Technology has made truth accessible, and Africa is rising. Black consciousness is unshakable. And the younger generation, the Gen Z of white people, are looking around and realizing that everything they were taught was a lie. Okay? Some of them can't carry the lie anymore. They are tired. It is heavy on their chest. So they are breaking away. And when, even one person steps away from the wall, the illusion of whiteness is shattered. I don't know if you are together here. We have seen white people exposing historical lies. And that's one of the most powerful ways white people are breaking codes with their own, is by exposing that historical lies. Think about how history was taught. Okay? White people discovered America, white people brought civilization to Africa, white people invented science, white people invented philosophy. All of these were lies. And today, white scholars, teachers, and activists are standing up and saying things like, we were lied to. Africa is the birthplace of civilization. We were lied to. Black people created mathematics, astronomy, and medicine. We were lied to because black people created architecture, philosophy, long before Europe. So the erasure of Black Egypt, the erasure of Black kingdoms, the erasure of African greatness, that was deliberate. And we are seeing this is happening right now, because right now, even the youths from Africa, the Gen Z of Africa can access the truth through social media, through internet. Right now, there's no barriers anymore. You go on YouTube, you see channels there. African content creators are sharing videos of the truth. You go on TikTok, you see videos of people are sharing the truth. Okay, so it can't stand anymore. White Gen Zs are asking questions like, why are they saying this? And why did you told this? And you know, as a white person, you don't have something to defend yourself on because you know it's a lie. So what do? You need to come out clean. When black people talk about these histories and everything, we are always dismissed as angry, you know. But when white people admit it, the system shakes before the betrayal comes from within. That's why these confessions are powerful. That's why they are not giving us truth. We already knew it. They are exposing the lie inside their own community. Okay? Exposing lie is one thing, but some white people are going further. Okay? They are distancing themselves from the privileges that comes from the lies. So this looks like walking out of family dinners when racist talks happens. Perfect. Okay? Like refusing to work in institutions built on exploitation. This looks like rejecting silence when they see injustice. I saw a video where a lady left her job because it was multiracial. Okay? For a number of years, we have seen whiteness was a contract. Stay silent and you'll be rewarded. You know? But now, some white people are tearing that contract. They are saying, I don't want to live a lie anymore, even if it gives me comfort. Okay? And this is not the majority, but the fact that any of them are doing it shows that truth has more proper than privilege. Okay? Now, another powerful shift that is happening today is white people are no longer just whispering their discomfort with racism. Okay? They are calling it out openly. Okay? We see it in protest. We see it in classrooms, we see it online. White people are confronting politicians, bosses, teachers, and even their own families. Okay? And this matters because it disrupts the illusion of white unity. The system was built on the belief that all white people will protect it. Okay? But when white voices stand up against racism, it sends a message, and that wall is breaking up. Okay? And not all of this is about morality. Some white people are breaking ranks out of fear. They see Africa rising, they see Pan-African unity growing, they see black Americans demanding reparation, they see young black people rejecting lies, they see the global economic shifting, and they know very well that the system or the white supremacy is collapsing. So some are jumping ship to save themselves, and some are siding with black people just to be close to black people, and they will say, I'm the ally. And that is what we call survival tactics, not morality. But even then, it weakens the system that is feeding them. Because one defection, just one, it breaks the illusion of the unity. Even if you are just doing it to save yourself, but it breaks the illusion of the lies. It breaks. Now, we see white Gen Zs, and I thought it started here in Kenya. The Gen Zs are rising. They are rising. No, it's happening too in white countries. Young white people are leading much of this shift. Why? Because they are first generation to grow up with global access to truth. So they can Google what their schools hide. They can watch documentaries. They can connect with black voices directly from social media. And when they learn the truth, some refuse to play the game of the game their parents played. Okay? They don't want to live in denial. They don't want to carry the guilt. They don't want to live in lies. And so they are the ones most loudly breaking codes with whiteness. Okay? Again, we are seeing white women breaking silence. Most of these videos we see, most of them are white women. White women played a double role for centuries. Victims under patriarchy. Again, active protection of racism. They benefited from being white while pretending innocence. They raised their children in racist traditions. They stood silently beside racist husbands. But today, some white women are stepping out saying that I was part of the lie, I stayed silent, and I will no longer be silent. You know? Now, we are seeing them exposing racism. We are seeing them exposing family secrets. We are seeing them exposing what they are doing behind. Okay? I'm seeing them challenging their communities and admitting their role is protecting racism again. And this is not about making them heroes. This is about understanding how cracks are forming in places we least expected. Now, another place is religion. Religion was one of the biggest tools of white supremacy. They told us God was white. They told us salvation came through obedience. White systems, they used the Bible to justify slavery and colonization. But right now, some white pastors, some white priests, some white theologians are admitting that we lied. Jesus was not white. They are admitting that Christianity was African before Europe. And we used religion to control, not to liberate. So when these confessions comes from the inside church, when the owner or when the preachers are bringing this confession, it destroys the illusion of divine authority behind white supremacy. Okay? Historians on another group are breaking ranks too. Some are publishing books. I've come across a number of I've come across a number of narrations, stories, books from white historians, lectures, and they are openly admitting that theft of African history. They are restoring timelines, naming African civilization, and admitting colonization was not discovery, but was robbery. So again, the power here is not that they tell us truth. We always knew. The power is that they are exposing their own system of lies. Okay? Now, white people who break ranks pay a price. That's reality. And they are called traitors. They are attacked online, they are shunned by family, they are silenced in institutions, and this shows just how much the white system fears the truth. Because when betrayal comes from within, it destroys unity faster than outside pressure ever could. Okay? So we must never make the mistake of treating these white people as heroes. No. Don't do that. Don't do that. They are not liberators. Okay? They are not saviors, but they are simply human beings. Okay? These are human beings who are finally refusing to live in lies. Okay? So the danger here comes when we give them too much praise, too much spotlight, or too much leadership. We must not keep them at the center. They must follow us, black people. Okay? The leadership of liberation belongs to the black people always. And this means what? It means that system of white supremacy is weaker than ever. The wall is cracking, the unity is fading, and this gives Africa and the diaspora more room to rise. It gives our voices more weight. It shows the world the era of white domination or dominance is ending, okay? So our response must be wise. We must not beg white people for approval. We must not put them in front. We must not depend on them. Instead, we must use their cracks to advance our own power. We must strengthen Pan-African unity. We must build our own economies. We must tell our own stories, and we must stand firm in self-love, okay? One of our deepest truths here is that lies destroys even those who benefit from them. And white supremacy was supposed to protect white people, but now it's turning into poison for them. The guilty, the denial, the shame, the fear, it is eating them alive, okay? And that's why some of them are breaking codes, okay? Whiteness as an identity is collapsing, because if it was built on lies, if it was built only on lies, what happens when the lies are exposed? Nothing remains, okay? Some white people know this, and that's why they are running towards truth, because the false identity of whiteness cannot survive the light of honesty. Okay? But at the end of the day, I always call for Pan-African unity. Okay? Pan-African unity in this era is what we need. This is the time for us to rise. As white people break the code with lies, we must strengthen codes of truth with one another. Africans, African Americans, Caribbeans, Afro-Latinos, Black Europeans, this is the time we unite. Their system is falling apart, but ours must rise stronger than ever. Okay? So, allies are not leaders, allies are not saviors, but allies can play a role. The new generation of white people who expose lies can be amplifiers of truth, but not owners of it. Okay? So, we can allow them to carry the truth back into their own communities where our voices were silenced, and that is their role. Okay? So the shift is terrifying the white power structure, because power depends on unity. And when your own power start breaking ranks, you lose your strongest weapon. And that's why governments, medias, and corporations attack white defectors more harshly than they attack us, because they are the cracks that can collapse the entire world. Okay? But what we need to do as black people, Africans, we need to unite and to be one so that we can conquer. Until next episode, peace out.